Chapter 6. Astronaut. Poor Jedediah. Jenny spread the foil emergency blanket over his corpse. Shining her flashlight around the cabin one last time, she spotted the dark metallic glint of a shotgun in the shadows laying on the floor. Better take that back to the sheriff's office and put it in the evidence locker. Other than that, there was nothing more she could do. Rest in peace. I'll be back tomorrow. Closing the cabin door behind her, she made sure the latch clicked tight and hoped it was sturdy enough to keep out any scavengers looking for a tasty treat. At least he'd done the deed indoors, where the only varmints who might get a nibble were the mice. Man, it was cold. Her teeth were chattering and the latex gloves made things worse. Jenny peeled them off and climbed into the Tahoe and immediately turned the heater on high, holding her hands over the dashboard vents until her fingers stopped tingling. Mission accomplished. Time to go home. With the flip of a switch, the light bar stopped flashing and she began the long, slow drive back down the forest road. While a suicide was a sad circumstance, she was glad for an excuse to get out of Quandary for a little while. Driving in the mountains at night, watching snowflakes swirl out of the darkness, was peaceful. She almost forgot about the headaches waiting for her in town. The district attorney's charges against Breck were bogus, but he was relentless in his quest to fake a case and put an innocent man in prison. They wanted something, anything, which they could use in court. Dempsey, the DA's goon. How long did he sit outside the sheriff's office before he realized she wasn't going to show? That had been hours ago. Jenny smiled. Hopefully, he was still there, picking his nose, checking his watch every 5 minutes. Finally, Forest Road 218 teed off on the main road, but she kept the Tahoe in four-wheel drive. Not only was the asphalt invisible, no one had driven this stretch of blacktop since the storm rolled through, except her, and her tire tracks had filled in already as if she'd never passed this way in the first place. She couldn't believe how deep it had gotten. It was just as bad as it was behind Grizzly Peak, if not worse in some places, for the wind blew right down Red Mountain Pass, causing big drifts, like frozen waves in a frozen ocean. As she drove, the sound of snow scraping across the undercarriage made her nervous. Send out the plows already. No way could an ambulance make it to Jedediah's cabin. What about a helicopter? The nearest one with a body litter was the National Guard chopper in Eagle County, but that thing cost a pretty penny in fuel and flight costs, and they didn't fly for free. The Quandary County Sheriff's Office would get the bill, and their budget had hit rock bottom a long time ago. There was only one other option. In the morning, she would have to return with a body bag, zip Jedediah inside, drag the corpse through the snow, fold down the seats in the Tahoe, and wrestle his frozen corpse through the cargo hatch. And the old guy must weigh more than 200 pounds, live weight. Dead weight was something else entirely. I wonder if I can talk Danny into lending a hand. As soon as she said it, she rolled her eyes. Outside of pouring beer, Breck's brother was about as helpful as a toilet that didn't flush. Maybe I should just call in a chopper anyhow, send the bill to City Hall. She glanced at the clock on the dash. Was it too late to call the National Guard? Let them know what happened? But she couldn't call, even if she wanted to. She didn't even have to look at her phone to know there was no cell signal, and there wouldn't be one until she made it back to Quandary. After a few more miles, the road entered the Blue River Gorge, and Jenny clenched the steering wheel and drove even more carefully. Between the yawning abyss to her left and the towering cliff face to her right, driving this thing in a blizzard at 2 a.m. was downright nerve-wracking. She carefully tapped the brakes until the speedometer read 10 miles per hour. Then she tapped them again until it read 5. Suddenly, some idiot raced up behind her with his headlights on full blast. Where did he come from? She scowled in the mirror. Get off my bumper, asswipe. The vehicle flashed its lights at her and began to weave back and forth. If the guy was so impatient, he was welcome to zip past her in the oncoming lane. It was wide open, and no one was driving up the canyon, that was obvious. Besides, didn't he see the sheriff's logo? Jenny flipped on the blue flashers and beeped her siren. But the vehicle suddenly sped up and rammed her so hard she hit her forehead on the steering wheel. "What the hell?" she said. Automatically, she slammed the brake pedal. But the road was slick and the Tahoe fishtailed, so she let go of the brakes and spun the wheel, trying to maintain control. But the other guy wriggled between her and the cliff wall, clipping her fender until he was right next to her. Jenny risked a glance out the passenger window. It was a large SUV, a jet black Cadillac Escalade with tinted windows. She felt the Tahoe rock again, accompanied by the distinct sound of crunching fiberglass, and the Escalade pressed against her truck, forcing her over. But there wasn't anywhere to go except over the edge. "This isn't fun anymore." Trying to escape, Jenny hit the accelerator, but the Escalade did the same, racing beside her, side by side, fender to fender, pushing her within spitting distance of certain death. She didn't dare glance at the speedometer, but she knew they were going way too fast for this road in these conditions. Who was this jack-off, and what did he think he was doing? The Escalade slammed into her again, and this time, there was nothing she could do. The Tahoe shot off the road, and the world turned, and Jenny felt her stomach twist into butterflies. Rising into the seatbelt, her body began to float like an astronaut. She was free-falling into the ravine.